Hi everyone. Can you hear me well, guys? Awesome. So today we'd like to share some essentially different tips and tricks related to how we use our tool that we have developed and how you can uh, develop your own agents related to Web3 security and participate on the platform called AgentArena and get rewarded if your agents are good enough to find significant vulnerabilities. So, but before that, I will show a few slides from my previous talk, which are heavily related to this topic and related to the products that we are building. So, about 2 years ago, we started from the problem that 70% of the hacked projects on mainnet were actually never been audited. And when we ask people, those who have been hacked, so what is the reason? Because there is a essentially industry standard that you have to audit your code before going to mainnet. The main challenge is that the audits are expensive, essentially. That's the main problem. So there was an idea that using AI technologies, we can make this procedure either cheaper or at least deliver some tools that are much more affordable to the developers. So, and we started from the assumption that professional auditors can find 100% of all the vulnerabilities, and what would be good for AI-powered tool. So we had an idea that so essentially our lead developer proposed that at this point we had about 5% of coverage, and he said like 10% of coverage would be already something useful. I thought that something about 50% would be useful, and he was laughing that when I said that. But eventually, a few months ago, we achieved 53% and coverage, and this was a significant achievement, essentially, during these past 2 years. But overall, like, to get to some details, what we try to estimate usually when we use such tools is first it's recall or coverage, so amount of percentage of findings that are covered by the tool out of the full list that are listed in the audit report. The other parameter is false positives, so there are no tools that have zero false positives. And we also know that to miss a medium or high issue is much more important than to miss some low or info or best practices. Also, there are like speed and price are also important parameters that we try to optimize. So we also do the benchmarking versus the frontier models, and on each new iteration, we know that how our tool is compared to other existing models, and usually it outperforms the models like essentially 3 times higher. It shows 3 times higher coverage and much more reproducibility. There is a question related to the false positives. How can we get rid of the false positives? And essentially, besides all those things that we are trying to implement in fully automated manner, there is a way how to eliminate false positives if you have this list of issues on your laptop, and you can use cursor for it, and it's surprisingly good, and I will show some examples later. So, and this approach with manual triage essentially can significantly increase the coverage that we are getting with this tool. So, for instance, if we completely remove the filtering and validation from the tool and sit down and manually triage all the issues, we can get to even 77% coverage, which means that if you for instance, a developer which do some pet project, for instance, and you cannot afford the full-scale audit because it's too expensive, you essentially can use these tools, and if you are kind of experienced enough with these tools, you essentially can get pretty high quality of your issues and pretty high coverage. And also these numbers show that in the real case scenarios when our customers were testing the tool and getting the coverage, for instance, of 42% on their particular repository, after that our experienced developers who did used pretty much the same set of internal documentation and code and tool were able to achieve 63% of the coverage. So it means that we treat this as a tool. It's not an auditor. It's not like professional. It's just a tool. So like, each tool needs to be mastered. And another interesting another interesting finding is that, which is directly related to the other project, which is called AgentArena, and as like here we are. I'll be showing how to use AuditAgent. It is a software as a service. You just you open it, log in via GitHub, attach your repository, scan, and get the results. And in AgentArena, you as a developer can bring your own auditing agent. You can connect to the platform, get the repository, scan it, submit the findings. And what is interesting is that when we see the different agents from different developers, we see that their findings are heavily uncorrelated, and the multiple tools can bring the coverage significantly higher. So, like for instance, when we checked two best performing tools together, the coverage jumps from 54% to 85%, and then adding third tool we get to 92%, which is actually comparable with some mediocre auditor. So these are the piece of advice to those who are not going to do any audits, but can use these tools. So use these tools, run them multiple times, try to fix the issues, and then run it again and again until you get something what you can predict, or you see that you don't have anything new, meaningful in your findings. And also, as I said, that there may be some false positives. Maybe it depends on the quality of the code. If the code is super high quality, the level of false positives may be higher. If the code contains a lot of issues, the false positives rate may be significantly lower. But you can use cursor ID to triage the issues and reiterate multiple times. So from this moment, I'd like to switch to the actual example how we can use the tool. So this is the AuditAgent dashboard. So in which here you can see the project that I have been scanning previously, and the interface allows you to log in via GitHub and get grant access to your repositories or organization that you're in. You click scan, and here there are multiple options which are specifically related to the quality of the scanning. So in free basic scan, we give essentially we subsidize this usage for the pet projects for developers who are learning how to build in Solidity, and they still need some meaningful tools for enhancing security. So here we can choose deep scan. It takes like 3 hours and much more comprehensive than those which we allow as for free usage. Here we can choose a repository which from your organization, from your account, or here in this example I take the publicly available repository. Here we can choose the commit or branch and even programming language. Currently it supports Solidity and Kero, and soon it will support Rust on Solana. And here comes the important part. So you have to outline the scope of the audit, just like you would do it with the real professional audit. And there are some people who are using this in the competitions on the platforms like AuditAgent or Sherlock or Immunify. And usually on these platforms, in the description, you can have the scope of the audit, which can be quite comprehensive, and a lot of contracts can be in. And here comes the first trick that you can use. So these the tools like AuditAgent have limited context, which is quite high from my perspective. It's like currently we support up to 8,000 lines of code, and usually the standard size of repository for which goes through the audit is about 1,300 lines of code. But at the same time, automated tools using LLMs have this issue, which is called needle in a hay, which means that when we try to put everything in the same context of large language models, it starts having much less attention to the details which are in the middle of the context. So what we see is that it's our particular approach. What we usually do when we get a large repository to be scanned, we try to decompose it into multiple components. And what can help in this also is that we can use cursor, where if you open the repository with all the files that all the audit scope that you're going to use, we can do the following. Essentially, we can ask cursor to try to decompose the project into multiple logically separated parts, which can be scanned actually separately. It significantly increases the quality. So, for instance, if the size of the scope is about, let's say, 10K lines of code, it's much better to drop down it to let's say, 5 components, 5 parts for at average, let's say, 2,000 lines of code. So 2,000 lines of code currently seems to be something like good amount, good scope that usually gets much less false positives and much higher quality. But at the same time, there is another tip that trick that you can use in cursor before asking for a particular a solution. For instance, to decompose this project into components, you can actually first run the another prompt that will help cursor to collect the context for this work, which makes this work usually much more effective. For instance, in the beginning, we can say that we're going to conduct a security review of this Solidity repository or protocol, read the documentation, and learn how it works. So essentially, the prompt says not to do something to achieve our particular goal, but it says that first learn or understand the code. And this may be helpful. And here I copy actually everything that I have from the repository. So all the Q&A and descriptions and features and audit scope. So I put it here into the context, and it gets and tries to review documentation, collect reasonable information, and then it gets some protocol overview, key components, blah blah blah. So all this stuff actually helps to to collect the context for the actual work. And the second question is actually, here is the audit scope. Assuming that we need to decompose it into multiple logically separated parts to analyze them in parallel, which sets of files should we choose for each part? And then we put here all the audit scope. So in the end, it creates a partially separated sets of files that we can analyze separately. There may be another caveat that when you decompose this into multiple parts, from one perspective you get much more granularity when LLMs are working with the code, but at the same time there may be some functions that are out of scope that may be actually useful to add into the scope. So you can again try to use cursor, or if you're actually working on your project that will be managing including your money or your customers' money. So we recommend to look much more precisely into the scopes that you're collecting, because if you are putting all the functions that are used in this particular logical part, so that should be in the scope. So you better should add them into the scope. So getting back to the user interface, so here we should choose those files that are related to this particular part of the protocol. So this is just an example. We go next to the stage related to the documentation. So documentation, again, it can be in your repository. You can choose it here, but sometimes the documentation may be in the in some documentation portal. You can add it as a link here, and also you can add some files as a PDF or Markdown format. And if you add some additional stuff, you can just copy and paste it. So again, the caveat here, when you add the public link and it has essentially some branches where there are multiple parts of the architecture and functionality can be covered by multiple pages. At the moment, it's better to just add them separately, copy links like to multiple parts of the documentation separately, and this will actually, you get more confidence that it will be in the context of the scanning. And next, the last part is a Q&A, and Q&A is, again, usually it's extremely important because it uncovers those things that auditors are requesting from the developers, and they are not obvious that they are important for the auditing process, but either it's auditor a person or it's an automated tool. It cannot access the things that are obvious for you as a developer, like which are kind of not obvious, not explicitly said, and we try to extract them here. So what is interesting is that when you work with some competition that, again, you don't have access to this information, it can be written in different formats of Q&A. Here the questions are the same. On the other platform it can be different, but in the end you can use cursor to find the way how to collect all the relevant information. So here I try to show how I did it previously. Yeah, here is it. So again, I run the first prompt, which is related to learn how it works, and after that I run another prompt where I say, according to the documentation and provided information, how should I fill these fields, and take this char size of fields into account. So it won't answer to like too comprehensively, so you won't be able to use it here because there are some limitations on size. So I just copied this into here, and it answered pretty much precisely and comprehensively in some cases. So I just have to copy these into relevant spaces. Then I click scan. It goes and starts doing its job for a few hours. After that, it sends an email to you, and you get the PDF report, which looks like it looks like this. So it contains some diagrams and summary descriptions which explains how the protocol works, or at least how AI has understood this. And then it gets to the findings and the comprehensive descriptions of these findings. So, and also it shows the list, the findings on the UI. And also what is interesting here is that you can use AI chat to, if you like to get some details related to these findings, you can ask here something about the findings. You can get some files into the context here. And you can also check the invariants that the tool has tried to check whether they are not broken down. And again, I guess the last trick, which is related to using cursor for triaging. So let's say we got a list of findings and we'd like to check whether they are correct or not. For instance, essentially if you are a developer, and I saw it multiple times when developers are getting the findings either from auditors or from tools, sometimes the findings are actually complicated to validate. So for instance, you read it and it looks like it looks meaningful, and you try to check whether it's correct or not, and you actually have to check multiple files, functions, conditions, and so on to understand whether it actually may happen or not. And here, what cursor does is, if you provide it with the relevant context, again, it works pretty well. So, for instance, I took two findings that I know that one of them is correct and the other one is false positive, and I'd like to show how it was answering. I ran it 3 times, each one in parallel. So in the beginning, I asked to learn how it works. And the next question act like a senior judge on Sherlock platform, research what it means and how to be accurate in decisions. So essentially, currently Cursor supports internet search, so it actually goes to the Sherlock platform or AgentArena platform and tries to collect all these rules, how judges are testing and evaluating the findings. And next, triage this potential issue, find out whether it's actually possible or it's a false positive. So here I copy and paste this description, full description from the report. So, and the triage verdict like false positive, and explains. And just to check that it is actually reproducible, not in a way that it's reproducing the same thing, but if you run it multiple times and you see that the results are the same, it's like really high chance that the results are correct, because we did this experiment and run multiple so we run the audit agent over some competition, and we triaged it via cursor, essentially this way, using these multiple runs per each triage, and not actually looking into the code and not trying to understand whether it's correct or not, and submitted 8 findings into the competition platform, and in the end we got 7 out of 8 accepted, and which shows, just confirms that the quality is really high, and the reproducibility is also high. So here you can see that the same finding, also false positive, the same, let's say it's the other one, the same again, invalid false positive, and the other one that we tested, it says valid, another one again valid, and third, I guess this one also valid. So these are kind of, there were 2 findings, each one run for 3 times, and in each 3 attempts the result was the same. And this is a really frequent situation. So I guess I will finish this. Thank you for attention. And Andrei, it's your. Okay.
Okay, how about now? No, no, fine, thank you. Okay, okay. Um, okay. So my name is Andrei Dobra. I'm one of the full stack engineers at Nethermind, and today we're going to discuss about this next development that we've created in the area of automated smart contract security. So just to give you the gist of the environment that we're living in right now, so we have this ever-changing landscape where we get a lot of spaghetti code being generated by AI. So we have this increased complexity of code. And then we have also the growing AI adoption and the shorter release cycles. Effectively, imagine that even before we had large amounts of protocols coming out, they didn't even have usual security audits. But now we have the advance of AI and vibe coding, and so we get even more protocols, even more hacks that are, and some of them, for some of them, the root cause is actually something really basic, really simple. And so we're effectively thinking about fighting fire with fire here. So then we can use tools such as the AuditAgent or this new tool that I'm going to present to you to find those issues and to fight the hacks. So yeah, as I said, we have the growing AI adoption, the increased complexity of the AI-generated code, and then we have AI-driven development, which introduces more bugs, more issues, more exploits, and more hacks. And afterwards, we see that such as we have this tool, which is called AuditAgent, there are other companies building such smart contract security tools. So we have a bunch of agents which can deliver some good results, but they don't quite hit the mark. So how about we put all of them together and we orchestrate them into a platform that offers you, in the end, a more complete report. So this is where we introduced AgentArena, which is a trustless approach. Effectively, this is a multi-agent system driven by independent builders. So this is also an invitation to anybody that is, whatever you do, maybe you're just a full stack engineer or maybe you didn't even actually have any coding experience before, or maybe you're a researcher in the auditing area, or you're just starting out. The thing is that you can now effectively vibe code the security agent and then also start helping this environment become safer, which I find it quite funny, but at the same time exciting. So basically, we have this multi-agent system where everybody can plug into it. So it is both competitive and collaborative. Why competitive? Well, that's because this is a bounty platform. So it's very similar to, let's say, Sherlock.xyz or like AuditAgent, where you have human auditors fighting for bounties. But in this case, you would have agents or agent builders with their agents fighting for the biggest reward from the bounty pool. And it is also at the same time collaborative because we put all of these findings together, we judge them, we triage them, and then we deliver a more complete report. AgentArena uses two processes actually for triaging the final results because obviously there will be false positives. All AI agents hallucinate, or they all produce false positives. But we want to deliver in the end a more high quality report such that you don't spend a lot of time triaging the results yourself. So the first layer of triaging is actually an arbiter agent that we have created, and it is open source, and we plan on running it in a TE environment as well, such that the whole process of judging is transparent and open to anybody. And then in the end, also the bounties get delivered on-chain, so anybody can look and check, okay, this agent submitted this finding, and then they are entitled to this prize, and then they can actually receive it. And to give you the gist of the functionality, we have the sponsors, which are the coders of the protocol in case. They send their code. It's a very similar process to what you've seen for AuditAgent. So you authorize GitHub, you select your repository, select the scope, add the documentation, answer some Q&A, and then it's delivered to the platform. And at some point, the competition is scheduled to start. And you can set it to start maybe in an hour, so you can get the results quite quickly. But you have to be aware that the results take a little while to be analyzed as well, because we have a human in the loop to do the final review. So this is actually the second step that I was talking about when it comes to triaging. We first have this arbiter agent, which removes maybe the more obvious false positives, and then we have a human auditor coming in and removing all of the remaining false positives. So as I said, sponsors send their code, agents then fetch the repository from us when the competition starts, they analyze the code, they submit the results, and then the arbiter agent comes in, judges them. Then we have the human reviewer team, which comes in and removes the remaining false positives, and then we post the results on chain, and finally the rewards get distributed. Now for the arbiter agent, we're planning on collaborating with Fala, because they offer TEs, and so in this case the arbiter do the judging, so it uses reasoning to assess the quality of the vulnerabilities. It deduplicates, because there will be quite a few duplicate relationships, because you can imagine that since there are several agents from different companies, they all might find the same vulnerability, so we have to identify the duplicates and we group them together. And then we also evaluate the results and then deliver the final report. So also something essential here is that we want this competition to be fair, especially to agent builders and to agents. And that implies that the submission window will be quite short. Right now, we still go for about 24 hours, but we aim to keeping this submission window really small, maybe 2 to 4 hours. So the agents should pick up the contract to pieces quite fast, deliver the result, and no human auditors should be allowed in the competition because of this short time frame. Now, some of the key features are open and transparent validation. As I said, the arbiter agent would run in a TE, and it's open source. Then we have the fair distribution, the bounty split if multiple agents discover the same issue. And also take into account that we do have a weight system for the rewards. So if your agent found a security vulnerability, then it will get a higher reward than, let's say, another finding, even if it has the same severity, but let's say 4 different agents found it, then that was more of an obvious issue. And the more obvious one will get a lower reward, and this unique finding will get a higher. Now, AgentArena is also a lot about enabling everybody to participate in this new AI agentic economy, because we plan on, actually not plan, because we're already there, we offer you the tools to start building agents and to participate in this economy and to find your spot, basically. So this is an open ecosystem and enables not only security researchers, but like everybody, as I said earlier, to participate, because we offer you the tools, and we have a template that I will show immediately, and you can start building on top of it. Now, the real-time contest results enable continuous improvement as well, and projects get a broad coverage because we have, as I said, multiple specialized agents. There is also the case where maybe one company builds an agent that is really good at identifying maybe sandwich attacks or something rather specific, and they submit the results. But then you have another company that is very good at identifying, I don't know, maybe some overflow, or like some, well, actually overflow is no longer an issue, but maybe some math issues that the protocol has, and they are really targeted at that, and then they submit the results, and then we put all of these together and deliver a more comprehensive report. Well, okay, and then we have the overall platform platform encourages innovation in the AI-based security space. Okay. This is a screenshot from the platform. This is, if you are an agent builder, this is what you would see. You have some links to the documentation in the upper side. Then you can see the findings. We also offer, we also have a test task which you can use to see that your integration works well. On the right-hand side, this is like a settings panel. The way your agent that you're building will be connected to the platform is through a webhook. So you will have an endpoint where you can receive the repository and whatever task details you offer, like the documentation, the answers to the Q&A. And so your agent, well, this implies that the responsibility for running it is on you. So you will be keeping this live somewhere. And you will also add a webhook authorization token such that it doesn't get spammed by anybody else. But basically, you will have it running. The competitions will be triggered and scheduled. And when they start, all of this data will be provided to your agent. So it starts analyzing the repository and finding issues. Now, I told you that we're offering the tools for you to get started in this platform. So this is the auditing agent template that we offer. It has a very, let's say, reduced core functionality, but it's got the basics to get you started. So what it does is fetch the code. So it's already built into integrating AgentArena. So it fetches the code, it assembles the prompt, and then queries AI for vulnerabilities, and then it delivers them in the correct format. So if you plan on building an agent and joining AgentArena, then it's very easy to do that because we have this open source template which you can build upon. And something quite interesting about it is that since also AI agents are let's say, the main providers of AI, like OpenAI, like Claude, they have such good agents right now that even if you use this template and you run it on your repository, you might still find some valuable vulnerabilities. So even with such a basic auditing agent, you could make a difference and you could meaningfully contribute to the reports that we're building with AgentArena. So as you can see here, you can clone the repository, you do the setup, add whatever keys that you're using, and then you can test it locally. Okay. Actually, just to focus a little bit more here, for 8 Global, we are actually sponsoring a bounty of either $2,500 or $3,000 for all the people that, if you are interested in building such a security agent, then we invite you to go ahead and start building it and test it on one of the repositories that we'll offer. And let's see what kind of results do you get, because for the best agent, we will offer this bounty. So keep it close to your let's say, objectives for Eat Global. And now I can here you have some contacts for AgentArena, my contact as well. This is there, like Andrew2K, more of a semi-pseudonym, but that's me. And then you also have the Nethermind security link because we also offer human security audits. Okay, and now these are just a few slides, and I can also show you something in the platform itself. Okay, maybe first to give you the sponsor view. So after you register in the platform, let's say you are a protocol builder, you want to get your code scanned, then you can see, after you register successfully, you see this dashboard, and here you can create a new task, and I'll just show you very quickly this, let's say, sample audit. You would create a task. You would, very similarly to AuditAgent, you would then select the repository in case, and you can connect, let's say, with GitHub. So you can scan private repositories as well. You select the branch, then you can select the files, the contacts in scope, and so on. So you will go through all of these steps. I will not go through all of them right now because you've seen it before when Kirill presented something very similar. So then you would select the contacts in scope, you select the documentation, and then you have the Q&A. And something that I would like to mention about the Q&A, and overall when you mention anything, when you fill in the documentation part, it is quite important. Like if you build this protocol, maybe you expect certain kind of attacks to happen, or maybe you expect a certain function or method to be more vulnerable. because maybe it interacts with some outside protocols. You're not sure about the validation that you provided there. So then it's best if in this section with the documentation, you also specify what kind of vulnerabilities you expect. So then the LLM can be more focused and the context is generated better, basically. So this would be the flow for the sponsor. At the end, like you have to stake the amount because these competitions happen on chain. And at the end of it, you authorize your wallet and you stake the bounty amount on chain. And then you wait for the competition to go on. And to give you a few more details about the timeline of this, after you submit the competition, it can start maybe an hour. You can schedule it in the future as well, but the idea here is to get the results as fast as possible because maybe you want to go to market as soon as possible. So then you would set up the competition to start in 2 hours or an hour. Then you have 24 hours, which is the window, the time frame in which agents can submit the results. And then there will be a few days in which our human auditors triage the final results. So effectively, maybe in 3-4 days, you can get the final report and you can see all of the findings. And now for the agent builder, or actually first, I can show you, since we're in the sponsor flow, then I can show you a sample of what the final results look like. So let's just go for the Harbor protocol here. So these are the results. You can see that it says approve of them because the total number of findings was 82. But then if you scroll down, you realize that all of those LLMs, all of those agents produced a lot of false positives. And this is what you would have to dig through usually if we didn't have the humans in the loop. But then in the end, because we have the humans, you can just see the two high findings, which have a few duplicates as well. But here we show everything because even if, let's say, this agent found a vulnerability and it gives you some context, then maybe the other ones can also provide more. So then you would be able to read even more. So in this case, AuditAgent and the StateMind agent, they found the same vulnerability. They have the description, the code sections highlighted, and so on. So we try to keep these findings, we try to make them as comprehensive as possible. So we try to give you context to be able to understand the impact and how to actually fix it in the end. Okay, this is basically the whole flow from the perspective of a protocol builder. And then for the agent builder, you see this, so after successfully registering, you see this dashboard. And as I think I showed this earlier already, where you can input the agent name and then you will have the webhook, right? And you would insert your URL here, you set the webhook authorization token, and then at the end, it's very important that you also test the flow. So you will have a test button here that appears. So once you're sure that the integration is complete, test it, will relay to your agent test repository. It should run it, and then after the findings are submitted, you will see them here in the dashboard. Okay. And then for the documentation, we provide three links, both for the sponsor and for the agent builder, which takes you to our documentation. And here you can better understand how to integrate with the platform and how to use it overall. So this is the user guide, and it will be described here step by step what you have to do. So first you connect your wallet because you have to stake those funds at the end. You connect your GitHub if the repository is private in order to be able to, for the platform to access it. Then you provide all of the essential information that I mentioned earlier. And and we are also actively developing our documentation to make sure that anybody that wants to either run an audit or build with us, so as an agent builder, so we try to simplify this process and make it as straightforward as possible. Here you have the section for the agent builder. You would have the installation of the template itself, so you can clone the repository and start building on top of it. We also have some environment variables with the keys that you might be using, so that's described here as well. And then we have configuring your existing agents. So if you already have if you have already built something in this direction, then this is the page that you would go to. And we also describe how the notification system happens. So effectively, when the competition starts, we send a notification to all of the registered agents, and in there they will find the URL where the repository resides, and then we have the task details with the documentation and Q&A, and then the last one is the URL where to post these findings. And here you have an example of such a web pull notification. Then there are some additional data models mentioned and the submission format, so you can find everything in here. Now the final step is connecting your agent to the platform, and this is the one that I described before. So again, this is an invitation to participate in the global competition and start building an agent with us and integrate it with AgentArena, because and even if you don't necessarily build the best agent right now and win maybe the big bounty, then afterwards, if you keep building and you keep participating in these competitions, you can still win a significant reward. Yeah, thank you.